Hello, I'm Iszi Lawrence. I am a children's author. I wrote this book. It is called Billie Swift Takes Flight, and it takes place during the Second World War. Now, some of you might already know about World War II. You might have talked about rationing in the classroom. You might have learned a bit about the Blitz. You might have even learnt about the Battle of Britain, which happens right at the start of the war when all the Spitfires and the Hurricanes of the RAF, the Royal Air Force, are defending Britain against the Luftwaffe, the Nazi planes, who try and invade us. It's a really exciting time. But no one's war is quite as exciting as Billie Swift's war, because she grows up 80 years ago right by an airfield. But it's not an RAF airfield, it is an ATA airfield. What's the ATA, Izzy? I'm going to tell you, don't worry. The ATA were the civilians who delivered the planes to the RAF, because they had to get the planes from the factories to the RAF airfields, and also they had to get all the shot up planes, all the ones with bullet holes whose engines no longer work properly, back. So you have to fly these rickety planes which fall apart as you fly them back to the factories to get them repaired. Now, the pilots of the ATA were the ones who couldn't get a job with the RAF because they were too old, or they had glasses on, or some of them only had one arm, some of them only had one leg. A lot of them were women and people from different countries like America and Canada and Poland and all of these places. Billie is growing up next to this airfield, and one day she sees something that changes her life forever. And she's being very naughty when the book opens, because she's hiding from her mum. She's got her chicken Susan in her bicycle basket with her, and they're hiding together. None of the grown-ups know where she is. She's trespassing on somebody else's land. What Billie hadn't factored into her plan was the sound of an engine cutting out. She hadn't registered it properly. She was still looking down at the airfield, watching a Fairchild plane taxi into one of the hangars. The wind picked up. Susan fussed in her basket, clucking as she hunkered down. Susan is the chicken, by the way. The trees were clinging to their dry, tatty leaves. They rustled noisily, masking the sound of a pilot somewhere in the distance trying to restart an engine of a plane that was coming closer and closer to Billie's lookout point. Suddenly, it felt like a cricket ball was spinning past her ear. There was a lack of noise, a heaviness that made Billie's stomach drop. Something was far too close and far too large. It didn't even make a proper whoosh overhead, nor did it whistle like a bomb. It passed so quickly, it felt unreal. Susan and Billie clucked in shock. Billie had often wondered what it would feel like to have a bomb drop on top of her, and for a split second, that's what she thought was happening. After all, there was no growl of an engine or fumes of exhaust. A branch from the tree she had propped the bicycle against cracked down next to her, the twigs whipping her in the back of the head. She thought she glimpsed a bullet shape of a bomb falling from above as she staggered to regain her balance, her feet sliding in the mulch. Only bombs weren't so massive, and they didn't have wings. It was a Spitfire. Billie rubbed her head where the branch had hit her, watching the plane intently. It was out of control, coming in too low and too steep, clipping the tops of the trees on the hill. It wobbled as it descended, blown about by the gusts of wind. Its nose was up, as though it was trying to land, but it was nowhere near the airfield. It came in short, making an ill-advised dive for the field, just yards from Billie's lookout. So Billie sees this plane crash. And what does she do? What would you do? I hope you get a chance to read Billie Swift Takes Flight. Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I've been Iszi Lawrence.